A thick fog had rolled in from the Thames, swaddling the tower grounds in muffled silence. It was the deep of night, and a modern security guard patrolled near the base of the bloody tower, named for its sinister history. His footsteps echoed on the slick stones as he approached the infamous tower where two young princes met their mysterious fate in 1483. The guard paused by the arched gateway, thinking of the history soaked into these walls. High above, a dim security light cast long shadows in the narrow windows of the old lodgings. He knew the legend well. Prince Edward V, who was only 12, and his brother Richard, Duke of York, who was just 9, had been held prisoner here by their uncle, Richard III. One night, they vanished forever, presumed murdered to secure the crown. Their innocent's blood was just one more stain on the tower's tragic chronicle. As he stood, lost in thought, a faint sound drifted out from the darkened stairwell of the bloody tower. The guard stiffened. It sounded like muffled sobbing, the soft cries of children in pain. Confused, he checked his radio. No reports of anyone inside at this hour. Tourists had long gone, and the tower was sealed for the night. Yet the weeping persisted, echoing down the cold stone steps. Heart thudding, the guard followed the noise into the tower's lower chamber, where an exhibit about the lost princes now stood silently. The modern displays and placards loomed in the flashlight's beam. In the hush, the sorrowful crying grew clearer. It was unmistakably the sound of two young boys, sobbing as if their hearts would break. His throat dry, the guard called out gently, "Hello? Is someone there?" The crying faded to a whimper and then silence. Only the drip of moisture along the stones answered. He climbed the spiral stair to the upper room where the princes were believed to have spent their last nights. The air was oppressively still and cold. As the beam of light swept the small chamber, the guard's breath caught in his chest. Huddled in a corner were two small figures dressed in long white nightshirts, hand in hand. They looked like lost children from a bygone age. One boy had his arm around the other, as if to comfort him. Their faces were pale and translucent, streaked with spectral tears. The guard blinked hard, unable to believe his eyes. Every hair on his arms stood on end. He took a hesitant step forward, the old floorboards creaking underfoot. At the sound, the two boys turned towards him. In the weak light, he could see they wore simple bedclothes, the sort a royal child might have worn in the 15th century. The taller boy's eyes were wide with fear, and he clutched his little brother's hand tightly. For a split second, the guard met the gaze of young Edward V, a gaze filled not with menace, but with desperate sadness. The prince opened his mouth as if to speak, but only a faint strangled sob came out. The younger prince buried his face in his brother's shoulder, and the two figures began to fade like mist in morning light. "Wait, please," the guard whispered, reaching out a hand. But it was too late. The ghostly children vanished utterly, leaving him alone in the dark chamber. The guard realized he was shaking. The sorrow emanating from the prince's spirits had been overwhelming, a centuries-old anguish lingering palpably in the air. He made his way back outside, eager for a gulp of fresh air to steady his nerves. Questions swirled in his mind. Had he really seen them? Many have reported spectral sightings of the princes over the years, yet to experience it firsthand was beyond unsettling. Some early accounts tell of two small boys in nightgowns seen huddled together and weeping within these very rooms. The guard himself recalled reading how two skeletons were unearthed beneath a staircase in the tower centuries later. Remains thought to be Edward and Richard, finally given a proper royal burial at Westminster Abbey. If those bones belonged to the princes, their souls should have been at peace. And yet, their restless spirits clearly remained trapped here, replaying their last moments of terror and loneliness. As he leaned on a wall, gulping in the cold night air, a sudden burst of sound made him jump. It was the laughter of children, high, light, and fleeting. The guard spun around, peering up at the battlements above the bloody tower. For an instant, he glimpsed two small silhouettes skipping along the parapet walk. A blink, and they were gone behind a turret. The laughter, too, cut off abruptly, leaving an uncanny silence. The incongruity gave him goosebumps. Moments ago, the boys had been sobbing in fear. Now here they were, playing happily. It was as if fragments of their short lives were imprinted on the tower, flickering in and out of reality. Some nights they reenact despair, other nights the innocence cruelly snatched from them. Indeed, fellow guards had told him of eerie giggles heard in empty corridors, or of two boyish figures seen chasing each other on the ramparts. Swallowing hard, the guard pressed the transmit button on his radio and haltingly reported what he had encountered. The response crackled back, gently. "So, you met our resident princes, did you?" It seemed the tower's warders were not entirely surprised. The Tower of London's staff have long grown accustomed to its ghostly occupants. Within these stone walls, time holds little power. The past can bleed into the present. The horrors visited upon two innocent boys over 500 years ago still echo in the darkness. Visitors by day may see only wax figures and museum displays, but in the dead of night, the princes in the tower sometimes emerge, seeking the comfort and justice they never received in life. Modern witnesses speak of an unshakable sadness after seeing or hearing them, as if for a brief moment. The despair of those long-lost boys has reached out and touched a living soul. And so the bloody tower keeps its tragic residents, grief-stricken child spectres who remind all who hear their cries that some secrets buried in these walls are not so easily silenced. Many thanks for treading this tale's dark path. If its chill gripped you, like, subscribe, and comment below.